I'm visiting Woodford Cedar Run Wildlife Refuge in Medford, right on the edge of the Pinelands. The refuge is all about doing what they can to save animals. Most of the work they do is rehabbing injured animals for release back into the wild. I'm meeting Executive Director Jeannie Corral. It's so peaceful here. Where do all of the animals who are here come from? How do you get them?
They come in from all over New Jersey. So the animals that live here on site are some of the animals that survive their injuries but can't be released back to the wild.
And why can't they be released?
For survival's sake. For example, we have two bald eagles right here.
Yeah.
This is Haley and Orion. These two eagles came in as a result of injuries, permanent injuries. They can't be released because neither one of them are able to fly. The male, Orion, he hit a high tension power line when he was a young eagle, and he permanently damaged his wing. And Haley, our female, she fell out of her nest as an eaglet. She fell 80 feet. She has a permanently damaged wing also, and so she cannot be released. We give them a second chance at life as educators. And what a great way to talk to people and engage thousands of people about not only the eagles, but the habitat that they need to survive. We can save all the animals possible, but if they don't have the habitat that they need, then we're just spinning our wheels. And so we use them in our passive education programs, and they are pretty darn spectacular.
How did they get here?
So these are the only two animals that are here that have come from out of state. We no longer take animals in from out of state. We give them a permanent home, and you'll meet some others that we give a permanent home to today.
Let's do that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Let's go meet some more.
Jeannie fits right in here. She knows every animal by name. Sometimes she talks to them, and I think they were talking back to her. It's obvious how much she cares for these animals.
Krogan, who is the one imitating the cat, he is a fish crow. And Andag, who is busy saying ow, she's an American crow. She was inappropriately hand-raised, so she wasn't able to be released because she imprinted on humans. And he has a permanent injury that prevents him from achieving full flight. Crows are smart. They're also problem solvers. They can solve complex, multi-stage problems. So when you have an animal living in captivity, you are responsible for all of that animal. You're responsible for their emotional well-being, intellectual well-being, physical well-being. So we have an active program here for enrichment, meaning it's our job to enrich their lives because they're living in captivity forever.
There are over 60 animals living at the refuge, and they all get the same care and attention from caregivers who really love these animals.
This is Micah.
Micah.
And so Micah is a raccoon. He is here because someone inappropriately hand-raised him. And so this is an example of a perfectly healthy animal. It is illegal and, in my opinion, immoral to take an animal out of the wild and hand-raise them like that because you doom them to a life of captivity.
How many animals do you rehabilitate and put back in the wild?
It is a staggering number. We take in and care for well over 4,000 injured, orphaned, or displaced wild animals each and every year. 26%, wow. I know, it's staggering, and not one of them comes in with health insurance.
I bet.
And not one of them comes in with a benefactor. One of the wildlife releases that I did personally that I think will stay with me forever, we had a female red-tailed hawk, and
oh, you're awesome. Look at you.
Hold on one second. Okay, so we had a female red-tailed hawk who came in and she had an impact injury. She had a soft tissue damage. So something happened. She was brought in by a Good Samaritan, and we had her for almost 3 months. And that soft tissue damage was finally fully healed, fully rehabilitated. And so I actually got to drive down to the Williamstown area to release her in the same exact backyard where she came in from.
Oh, wow.
So I opened the crate, and she was a warrior. This is a female red-tailed hawk, and she was an absolute warrior. So when I released her, she came out and she flew up and landed right into a tree. And then there was a squirrel in the tree who was probably the luckiest squirrel ever because he was able to
get away.
But about 20 minutes later, we heard a call. It was her mate. He was, I know, isn't that staggering? So her mate was still in the area. He circled, she called, and she flew up. They circled twice together, and then they took off.
Are you kidding?
3 months, I know, isn't that amazing? We need to get these animals back out into the wild. It's not the goal to have them live here with us,
right?
But for those that cannot be released, like Micah or Andeg or Krogan, we can use their lives to be ambassadors for their species and ambassadors for the habitat. And like that's the highest, best use of the unreleasable wildlife that we can imagine, that we can think of. And so they're going to help affect change in the next generation of humans.
The Wildlife Center is open to the public, so you can visit Micah and Krogan and all the other residents. They also have hiking trails and educational programs for schools and scouts. But Jeannie and I are going over to another part of the refuge. It's an out-of-sight area that is vital to the rehabilitation of the injured animals. I'm meeting Lori Swanson, who is in charge of wildlife rehabilitation. So tell me, what is this area?
This area is off viewing for the public. This is where we take all of the releasable animals once they're ready to be outside.
Okay.
So everyone starts inside the hospital, and we deal with their injuries. If they're orphans, we'll raise them until they're eating on their own. And then all of them move out here to an outdoor enclosure.
Lori has brought something for me to see, and I've never seen anything like this before.
Probably the smallest mourning dove you'll ever see. And it was probably hatched just a couple days ago. It's doing really well, surprisingly. Obviously, the smaller animals are, the more critical it is that they're with their parents. But we'll definitely do everything we can for him. And he's been a trooper so far.
So I see you have something else.
I do. And these little babies came in just today.
Babies.
Yes, multiples. We were talking about possums.
Yes.
They can come in groups of 13. But today we got a bit of a smaller group.
Someone brought these in.
So these came from an animal control officer.
Okay.
Just today. And she found, unfortunately, a deceased mother.
Okay.
They get hit by cars a lot on the road. Their eyesight isn't great. So when you see a possum that unfortunately did not make it on the road, it is always good to stop and check and see if there's babies in a pouch. Always check if it's a female, and if so, look in her pouch and see if there's babies.
How long will they have to stay here?
They will probably be here at least 2 months, maybe 3, for their size. These guys also have to be tube fed, so we actually have to feed a tube down into their stomach to feed them. They don't suckle like a squirrel or a raccoon, anything like that.
Oh my gosh, they were actually just holding hands. How cute
They
is
have really
that?
strong hands actually, because they have to climb up mom's fur to get to her belly. They're very clingy. Their tails already, cling and work, and we think they have the cutest ears of all the babies.
You must love your job.
I do.
Yeah.
I do love it, yes.
Because you take something little like this, and in a few months...
Our job can be super stressful, but seeing the end result, the release, all of the hard work is worth it.
Sure. It's great work. The hospital receives injured animals every day, and the Refuge Center works to educate as many people as they can about animal safety and care. The folks at Cedar Run are able to do their work because of donations they receive from the public. Everyone's goal here is to help these animals get back to their natural habitat, which is exactly where they're supposed to be.